Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Today we are decoding Trump tweets of July 22nd. Hello, Thomas, and may I get started?
Yes, Betsy, the trip code has been checked. It has been authenticated, and we are verifying it, and we also acknowledge the honor to attempt to decode the great Trump tweets.
So President Obama knew about Russia before the election. Why didn't he do something about it? Why didn't he tell our campaign? Because it's all a big hoax. That's why, and he thought Crooked Hillary was going to win.
In other words, if there were any crimes, then Obama committed them. Oh, now there's not going to be any crimes because now it's been pointed at that the logic, the simple logic, it's like the logic of lawfulness, of the rule of law. Just simple logic in these cases absolutely destroys the other side's stupid rhetoric. So in this case, he calls it a hoax. The other day he called it illegal. He keeps calling it that it should end. It's a witch hunt. It's basically spying on Trump. It is trying to frame his people. It is a coup. It is a election rigging. And they always thought, and remember, we're the only ones who say this. Christopher Steele made a mistake when he gave BuzzFeed an entire copy because he hadn't been informing them before, and they got mad. So when they got their copy, though we now know that Ali Watkins was given a full copy by James, the head of the Wolf, the head of the Senate Special Committee on Intelligence, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the corrupt Senate Intelligence Committee, which it's now just coming out, just pouring out how corrupt it is. And remember, little Marco Rubio is on there. That's why Marco Rubio recently has been coming out saying horrible things about Trump in relationship to the dossier and in relationship to the Mueller investigation. You're going, wait a second, why is he? This is what the Democrats are saying. Why is Marco Rubio saying this? Because he and Richard Burr, who are on the Senate Intelligence Committee, are completely complicit in it. From day one, they now know back to March. They also know that they had a complete copy of what has now been gained by Judicial Watch. It has been redacted, but the 412 pages of the applications for the Carter Page FISA warrant, these were already given out to Ali Watkins, the lover of James Wolfe, the head of assistants for the Intelligence Committee. All the staffers for the Intelligence Committee answered to him. He was institutionalized leaking.
Now, do I have that name right? Was it James Wolfe?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's not correct, somebody can correct me.
So, here's Trump basically saying it 10 different ways, and people don't get it. Hello, we now know that Strzok and Page said Obama did it. We now know that John Brennan has come out and blamed it on Obama. We now know, Susan Rice said it in her message to herself, that it was Obama who was directing it. Now James Clapper comes out and inadvertently, because he lies so much, he got caught in his own double speak and pointed out that Obama drove the whole thing from the beginning. It was always Obama, always Obama. So, hello? Trump is saying, Obama, when are you going to call Obama in for a congressional hearing and let the world hear what he has to say about this, all the big lies? Is he going to take the fifth? Is he going to be called in by the Mueller investigation to point out that he actually paid for Russian meddling in our elections?
No, that's
to
why
real Russians?
That's why he's down in Kenya reminding everybody about his Kenyan citizenship so he can, retreat there.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. There was a child born in Kenya. It wasn't him. That was his mother's first child. Anyway, let's go on.
Okay, to Iranian President Rouhani, never, oh yes, this is the big deal, big caps, bold, loud, never ever threaten the United States again or you will suffer consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious.
Always in the past, demented words of violence and death got extortion money from Obama. As we know, $1.5 billion in cash on big pallets, and then tens of billions of more that no one even knew about. John Kerry, he got enriched all over the place. They got 2,500 Iranians came in through that deal. So the Ayatollah Khomeini and the Ayatollah now and Rouhani and the previous presidents, They always yell that they're going to kill every American. They're going to blow us up with their nuclear bombs the second they get them. They try to extort us just like North Korea did. Why? That's the game, folks. You scream really loud that you're going to get nuclear weapons and you're going to blow us up. And then what do? And what did Germany just do? Angela Merkel just got extorted and gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran because they threatened the European Union. And so Angela Merkel made sure for the payoff. Where did she get the money? From the Russian oil, the pipeline, Nord Stream 1. She hasn't told anybody. 85% of their oil comes through an illegal deal that the European Union wasn't even involved in. So, what is this? Daddy Bush, George H.W. Bush, declared war on Iraq with a UN resolution. His son, Baby Bush, declared war on Iraq because someone whispered something in his ear. We now see that the threats of the demented war threats from Iran have been taken seriously, finally, and he has answered. Do it again. Watch what happens. Right now, Iran is collapsing. Their people are out on the streets. They're dying for their beliefs to get rid of basically the theocratic government that they have, which they don't want. It isn't even actually the most populous of the people. They're a Persian nation. But remember, we were involved with the Shah of Iran. We were involved with Jimmy Carter's October surprise and the Iran hostages. We have been up to our eyeballs in Iran, and now we know that Peter Strzok and his family were involved in Iran. Valerie Jarrett was involved in Iran. John Kerry has been getting payoffs from Iran. So much is going on in Iran. Here's the deal. They always threaten that they're the mother of all wars. But guess what? Trump is the father of all wars, and he is going to squish them like a bug. You haven't seen any of the things that happened during the Obama basically embarrassing administration where Iranian boats would take over our larger boats. They'd come up in a little speedboat, a dinghy, and take over our Navy ships. This is amazing. Well, you don't see that happening now. Truth News Headlines put that out. But what is happening here? Some say this is not Trump saying this. Some say this is Bolton speaking through him as a threat. It doesn't matter. The sanctions are bringing down Iran. What this means is a declaration of war has already been declared through, basically now, it will be the CIA, but the good CIA. And if there's one more threat, then declare it's war. He won't declare war, but it will be war. And so what he's already doing to Iran, bringing it down, bringing it to its knees, he got China out of Iran to buy Saudi Arabian oil. I pointed this out some time ago. We were the only ones pointing it out. It's now a fact. And it's now all over the place that people are discussing this. So remember, Russia got in, China got out. France and Britain got out of Iran. And now Putin is dealing with Trump. And they're simply going to make deals over the pipelines for the Iranian people. Because guess what? The Iranian theocracy is over, folks. It was a propped up CIA regime change. And unfortunately, it went bad like all the other ones did. This won't be an Arab Spring like it was with Obama. It will be just outright meddling. And we absolutely are already meddling in Iran. We have dissidents. I mean, look at Pompeo's recent talk. He went down all the details of all the Iranians who are in the diaspora, who have left Iran and want to go back. They're powerful political people, very rich people. Those are the ones who are causing the dissent on the street. They're using social media. This was well known when this started. And this is being, of course, fomented by our own Department of State and CIA.
The next tweet is about Tom Fenton. I guess he was on Fox and Friends at 6:15 a.m. Judicial Watch doing a great job for patriots around the world. May I move on to the next tweet? Did you have anything to say there?
I just want to say that Tom Fenton is doing a great job, and he looks good too.
Yes, he does. So the next tweet. So we now find out that it was indeed the unverified and fake dirty dossier that was paid for by crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and that was knowingly and falsely submitted to FISA, and which was responsible for starting the totally conflicted and discredited Mueller witch hunt.
And it has also been a key factor in Trump derangement syndrome and Democrats setting their hair on fire, and all the guilty parties running out like rats off of a burning ship. It is so absolutely beautiful. So, what are we dealing with here? Let's just put this in his words. Oh, you got a Title I FISA warrant, the only one you applied for in years, James Comey, for a person who was an FBI asset, and you claimed that he was a spy. You didn't claim. You said you had absolute evidence proving it, that he was a spy based upon Christopher Steele, a discredited, pathetic ex-British spy who was being controlled by the British Privy Council, basically, and the people who were been rigging elections for a long, long time. So what we're saying here is that this opposition dirty dossier was used to get a FISA warrant? Well, then wait a second. Then everyone who signed off of that goes to jail. Because when they say that they're presenting this evidence for a Title I 702 for domestic case, they swear. They have to swear in a special affidavit that what they are presenting as the evidence has been verified. Well, we got James Comey, we got John Brennan, we got Clapper, and we got everyone saying that the dossier is unverified and salacious. So therefore, everyone who signed it and then said that later, bye-bye. You committed a massive felony. As a matter of fact, the worst that you can, because you went to a secret court to try to meddle in elections, try to basically politically assassinate Donald Trump as a candidate, and then try to depose him as president-elect so he wouldn't go to his inauguration. That's the reason Susan Rice only admitted it was Obama's fault, and Obama drove the whole process, which we told you from December 15th on. The meeting then in his office was in January with Obama himself and representatives of the DNC and his entire intelligence community, where they planned all of this. They planned the dossier. Now, the dossier had to come through the Atlantic Council, and now that evidence is pouring forth again. We found it when it first came out in open source. Everyone ignored it, but Alexandra Chalupa was the Russian spy, and her sister and her cousin. And then Natalia Veselnitskaya, she was the Russian spy brought in by the State Department to frame Trump. We have the British spies, Robert Hannigan, coming in under John Brennan's direction to go into Fort Meade, Maryland to spy on Trump. So what we have here is the most ridiculous and most egregious attempt to overthrow a sitting president and to meddle in elections that we've ever seen. And as he quoted before, Obama knew all about it. He was directing it.
The next tweet reads, quote, "It was classified to cover up misconduct by the FBI and the Justice Department in misleading the court by using this dossier in a dishonest way to gain a warrant to target the Trump team. This is a Clinton campaign document. It was a fraud and a hoax designed to target Trump." May I continue
Please.
reading? Or shall we? Or I should just say...
Well, let's stop there.
Let's stop there. But the quote is coming from Tom Fitton, so we're going to break this down.
Yes. And at the end, he adds a few words. But Tom Fitton, he puts it in the same words we do. But I would say it was classified. It was a national security issue. That's the reason it had to be started at the CIA, heard as a foreign intercept, which there is no intelligence that says there was any foreign intercept. There was a conversation, supposedly, that Victoria Nuland heard about between someone in Estonia and the State Department, which probably would have been Jonathan Weiner, who said Putin has compromising material on Trump. And that's it. That's it, folks. And then because of that, that was their justification for Crossfire Hurricane and all that proceeded all the way up to June, July, August, September of 2017. They were still doing the investigation on Trump, okay? The warrants continued on through that time, past the time that Mueller then picked up his special FISA court capacities, which has never happened in special counsel history before, that he got to then control the FISA courts and control everything that he was asking of them and what was coming to him, with no inspector general having access to it, though they should by law. Sally Yates fought to make sure that Horowitz would not have access to the special counsel while it was being conducted. And that's why everything is focused on Robert Mueller, from the FISA court to the dossier to the counterintelligence Crossfire Hurricane to Peter Strzok and all that happened and all the ridiculousness. The ridiculousness happened just as Trump said. They never thought they'd get caught. They never thought Hillary wouldn't make it into the White House because they had rigged it so well. All the ways we've listed, dozens of ways they rigged that election, and they still lost. So what is he saying? Fenton is saying, make sure you understand that they use the cover of national security. That's the reason that Peter Strzok is both a CIA agent and an FBI agent, which almost never happens unless you are the director of a certain section. And if you're a section chief, which Peter Strzok must be a section chief, which means from the beginning, this was he and John Brennan, who now it's coming out that John Brennan was actually put in position by a KGB agent who is now still serving time for treason. So John Brennan came into our government by Aldrich Alvin, I think his name is. But anyway, the point is that he was a KGB agent who was penetrated our government, later found out to be, and we still listen to John Brennan, who then became radicalized when he was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
And still gets security briefings every day?
And still has his top secret security clearance, violating it every time he goes on the news and talks about what he did in his tenure. In the time in office, he can't talk about any of those things for 5 years. Same thing for Comey, same thing for Clapper. Every time they open their mouth, they are committing a crime. Now, Tom always points out words like they targeted Trump. They framed George Papadopoulos. This was a political maneuver. I love the words he uses because these legal terms are vicious enough to really describe what happened.
Well, let me continue reading the tweet where Trump is quoting Tom Fitton. And the DOJ, FBI, and Obama gang need to be held to account. Source number one was the major source. Avoided talking about it being the Clinton campaign behind it. Misled the court to provide a pretext to spy on the Trump team. Not about Carter Page, was all about getting Trump. And you know what? I'm going to have to take that back. See, it's the quote began, but there wasn't a close quote. So
the next one has a close quote.
But the next one, starts with a close quote at Carter Page and you close quote here, and that's what Tom Fitton said. So just tell us what these tweets mean, okay?
Okay, first off, he called Obama's group a gang. We call them the Chicago Mafia, the Chicago Mob, whatever you want to call them. That's exactly what they are. And source one is Steele and his dossier. And remember, his dossier means $12 million spent by the DNC through Fusion with Sidney Blumenthal, with Courtney Shearer, with all that was gathered up together and given to Christopher Steele before he even began. Alexander Chalupa's part, Natalia Veselnitskaya, and now we know of even other Russians who, like, for instance, what's her name? Maria Butina. She is probably another source. So we have source after source after source where the weaponized Democratic Obama administration used Russians against us, folks. So there was Russian meddling, and that's why it's a gang, and that's why source one, when you talk about it, the Russian dossier is a conglomeration of a huge amount of work by all these different departments, and we spent a fortune on it. We paid Stephen Halpern almost $1 million for it. Christopher Steele, he was ripped off by Fusion GPS. He was paid like $180,000 for it, but he's being sued now.
Well, not to mention what they were been paid by the Privy Council. Who knows how that worked at the other end of this spying operation?
Oh, absolutely. They were getting their payoff through the Strategic Communications Laboratories, who were paid to rig the election. So they were there. They got their piece of the pie. That's for sure. Thank you, Jeffrey Patty.
Yeah. All right. Now the next one.
Now let me go on here.
Oh.
Okay. So the Clinton campaign is behind it to mislead the court. So they used the dossier. They misled the court. In every single FISA renewal, you're supposed to have more evidence to verify what you said in the first one to prove that you deserve to get another one. They used leaks that were from them. Leaks that we see in the Page-Strzok text messages, leaks that came directly from James Wolfe and the Senate Intelligence Committee, leaks that came from Comey's lawyer, who was paid by the FBI to be an agent, to be a leaker. Okay? So they knew full well exactly that they were lying to the court. Why did they need that stupid warrant? Now, we're the only ones who've ever said this. They had to cover their back trail. They didn't even really they didn't even try to get it till October. They started in March. So why did they insist on getting it in October and running it through and putting all of their lives on the line that they could go to jail for and signing this stupid warrant request? Because they knew they were going to impeach or overthrow Donald Trump, and they needed to cover their trail now that it shows 28 crimes that Comey committed before the October 16th FISA warrant in 2016. 28 crimes of treason we have outlined. That's the tip of the iceberg. Don't get us started. There are many others who committed many other crimes. I won't make the list because it's going to be a list of like 200 people. 200 things that people did, okay? So this gang, yeah, they inserted a spy. Yeah, they inserted an informant. We now hear Clapper happy to say that. We hear Brennan say, yeah, because we didn't trust Trump. This is a KGB plant. John Brennan saying he doesn't trust Trump with Russia.
Well, wait a minute. If he's a KGB plant, is he the Russian we're looking for?
Yes. He started the whole thing.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, now the next...
Now wait, it's not about Carter Page.
Okay.
The dossier is not about Carter Page. Carter Page didn't know the dossier existed. Carter Page was being used as a useful idiot. He is a wackadoodle. He didn't even know. He still doesn't know what happened.
He's a mule, but in the information war, it was carrying information.
And they said this guy was going to be paid about $17 billion for his part in lining Trump up through his lawyer, Michael Cohen, with the Alpha Bank oligarchs in Russia. Okay, that's just plain stupid. That's what the dossier says. Anyone who ever read that dossier who said that could be used to get a FISA court warrant on a guaranteed 100% Russian spy, Carter Page, would have to have an IQ below 70, because an idiot could have read that and known that it was fake and that it was nothing more than political propaganda that got out of hand. And we're still not done. Go on to the third part. Carter Page wasn't a spy. That's correct. He was a FBI plant.
That's right. But this is the quote from Tom Fitton. Quote, Carter Page wasn't a spy, wasn't an agent of the Russians. He would have cooperated with the FBI. It was a fraud and a hoax designed to target Trump, close quote. Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch. Then Trump continues to tweet, a disgrace to America. They should drop the discredited Mueller witch hunt now.
Carter Page wasn't a spy. He was an FBI plant. And he had already been an FBI asset, so he can't be a Russian spy at the same time. That's stupid. Okay, so, and as Trump says, he would have cooperated with the FBI because he was cooperating with the FBI. He was on the FBI payroll, for heaven's sakes, folks. He was on the FBI payroll. Let me make sure you understand that. He was on the FBI payroll the whole time he was sent, and he was inserted into the Trump campaign. They had to get a personal protection order, a restraining order against him because he kept trying to insert himself, and he was doing stupid things like going to Russia, giving talks, trying to tell the press that he gave Michael Cohen a letter that didn't exist, becoming best friends with Stephen Halper and hanging out with him so that he would look compromised. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. What Trump is saying here, they should drop the discredited Mueller witch hunt. First off, it's a waste of time. Second off, it's a continuation of the CIA FBI counterintelligence operation, which is illegal. Okay? It's illegal. That is treasonous. It may be worse than treason. They may have to come up with new words to describe what these people actually did to our Constitution. This is beyond a constitutional crisis. And when the Congress asks the DOJ and the FBI for material and they don't give it, that is a constitutional crisis.
Well, then we need to have the military step in. That's what has to happen.
Let's remember how stupid these people were.
Or is it the U.S. Marshals? Who would step in?
The U.S. Marshals and military could step in because he's declared a state of national emergency. And once it has been shown that they have tried to assassinate him, he could arrest all these people. And we've already demonstrated that that's
all
happened.
They need to do is get those texts. That's what I think. I think you're going to see the plan right there in their text.
Oh, the second that you get the full text
the
between
lover
Strzok,
text.
Well, because it was Peter Strzok who got to determine what text he would give out and what would be in them. Did you catch that again? Michael Horowitz had an agreement with Peter Strzok so that he could choose which ones to reveal out of the 55,000. And most of the good ones we don't have, and nobody has, because they say it was a problem with the phones and the system. And we don't have Comeys, and we don't have McCabe's, and we don't have James Baker's, and we don't have anybody's. When we get all those and they're unredacted, you're going to see this was the worst treasonous act conspiracy in American history.
Next tweet. When you hear the fake news talking negatively about my meeting with President Putin and all that I gave up, remember, I gave up nothing. We merely talked about future benefits for both countries. Also got along very well, which is a good thing, except for the corrupt media.
And you see, Trump, why do you think he didn't sit down and have his counterparts meet with their counterparts? He said that would be in the next, that he would send them over there before we have the next summit. He clearly said this, and he said that this was just a getting to know each other meeting. So when they want to see the transcript of what the interpreters, the only people in the room, wrote down, so that then they can use that to say he committed treason with Russia. That's completely ridiculous. He came out and they both said what they talked about. They both agreed on what they said they talked about. So he gave up nothing. That's completely ridiculous. Giving up something, that's what Obama and Hillary did every time they ever met with a Russian. And we can go into the tech city. We can go into the uranium enrichment facilities. We can go into the ripoff of Americans for the sake of Russians, and the way that we gave technology to them, which they're now using against us, that we say we don't have anything that can countermand it. That's completely ridiculous. Thank you very much, Mr. Obama, for giving them supersonic missiles and for giving them space technology, which now that Trump has to come and start a space force, because you even gave away outer space, Mr. Obama. You gave away everything. Now, when we say corporate media, we need to say corrupt media. We need to say that also means corporate media, warmongering media, and yellow journalism, and corporate propaganda, and warmongering machine. That's what mainstream media is. They have to have war. If you don't have war, you don't have a good economy. How many times have you heard that? Who made that up? Warlord bankers and brokers. So when we're talking about the corrupt media, it's corrupt beyond imagination. Did Trump give anything up? No, he's put new sanctions on them. He continued Obama's sanctions. He put new sanctions on them. He busted them on Nord Stream 1. And he is sending money to Ukraine so that they can fight Russia. Trump hasn't been easy on Putin at all. As a matter of fact, here's the reality, folks. Putin wanted Hillary to be elected. That's the reason he did not interfere in the election. He knew it was rigged. He assumed Hillary would win, and he would go on being enriched by the stoking of the Cold War. What he didn't know is that she was going to push it into a hot war in Syria. He probably knew that was insinuated by Hillary and the intelligence community's report, but I'm not sure that he believed it. That's the reason he moved into Syria. So what did he really want? He wanted Hillary to be reelected, folks. Trump is the last thing he wants. Trump is going to treat him like he is a dishonest mafia oligarch who kills anyone who gets in his way.
There can be only one.
There can be only one.
Okay.
And the Highlander will prevail.
That's right. Okay, the next tweet. A rocket has not been launched by North Korea in 9 months. Likewise, no nuclear test. Japan is happy. All of Asia is happy. But the fake news is saying, without ever asking me, always anonymous sources, that I am angry because it's not going fast enough. Wrong. Very happy.
I love it when the mainstream media, the warmongering, lying media, the lie-mongering media, say that they know what Trump is thinking. Really? You have a source that you can't name that knows what Trump is thinking in his head, and then you expect anyone to ever read your news again. Folks, when they insult you like that, walk away, because that's absolutely pathetic. It was completely wrong. The reports that they're building up their nuclear, completely wrong. Korea is working very hard, and every time that the mainstream media comes out and tells the lies, then what happens? North Korea says, oh, no, it happened because of this, and no, we are totally down with this. Total denuclearization. Oh, no. Mainstream media, corporate media, warmongering media, yellow journalism, corporate propaganda only want war. Go back, look at all of your life. When there wasn't a Cold War, what happened? Then we have the long war of terrorism. You don't even know who the terrorists are, but we're at war with them. We can bomb anybody we want because we say they're terrorists. That's where we're at. Oh, soon Russians are terrorists. Oh, if you believe in Trump, you're a Russian and Russians are terrorists. And you see, folks,
it's a world then of never-ending war if you go this path. So this is why we all have to stop it. Now, the next two tweets I'm going to read together. The Amazon Washington Post has gone crazy against me ever since they lost the internet tax case in the U.S. Supreme Court 2 months ago. Next up is the U.S. Post Office, which they use at a fraction of real cost as their, quote, delivery boy, close quote, for a big percentage of their packages. In my opinion, the Washington Post is nothing more than an expensive, the paper loses a fortune, lobbyist for Amazon. Is it used as protection against antitrust claims, which many feel should be brought?
This is so loaded. This, last time he did this, Bezos lost billions, okay? And we told you it's going to happen again, and we're going to told you that these tweet wars between Trump and Bezos are going to continue as long as Bezos continues to use the Washington Post as his corporate propaganda, or as he calls it here, his lobbyist for Amazon, or I would call it the lobbyist journalism. It's nothing more than lobbying for a corporate world. What is Amazon? It's the ultimate corporate ripoff. Because they weren't paying their internet tax in all the states, that's the reason that they could knock everybody else out of business. Because they were centralized and they were being given fantastic tax breaks. They were being given fantastic breaks on the U.S. Post Office, which nobody even wants to admit. Trump has brought it up again and again. The second he says, hello, bring the person in here responsible for this. Okay, you're either fired or you need to stop this today. Why are we making Amazon a monopoly that is taking down our retail stores all over America? This is killing Americans for who? Jeff Bezos, who not long ago said he was going to be the president. He just said he was going to be the president. Came out and said, I will accept the job if I'm not too busy. This is the megalomania, crazy silicon cardboard cutout imbeciles that we have at the heads of these these giant tech monopolies. They are evil and they will be brought down. Trump can bring them down in a minute. And so what he's saying here is, Bezos, you better watch out. Because in just a minute, all I have to do is wink my eye and say monopoly, antitrust, RICO, wink my eye to the post office department, and you will collapse and our retail stores will come back. It may take a while, so what? And your Washington Post, if you don't stop your blatant lying, because when he bought it, he thought that was the game. That's what the mainstream media does, is they lie for their corporate sponsors. That's the game, Mr. President. We don't expect anyone to believe it. That's why we put subliminal programming in it, so that we can control them and program them to believe what we want and then sell them the garbage that they don't need. Mr. President, that's the way it works. You should know this. You dominated television. You came in and said you were going to, and you did. So he's now saying, Washington Post, back off or Amazon is going to go down. Antitrust claims, which many feel should be brought. Be brought? Be brought means the one department that's working with him is the U.S. Treasury Department. And if he winks at them, you're done, Jeff Bezos. Because why? You're fake to begin with. You make your people who work for you, can't get medical insurance. Some of them are on welfare. Some of them have such stress levels because of the way that you pressure them that it makes them sick to work for you. And then you have the most money of any corporation in the world, and it's all fake because it's a stock market jacked up, central bank, U.S. Federal Reserve nonsense, kabuki theater non-reality. We know who you are. Trump knows who you are. He doesn't have a dime in the stock market. He can wink his eye. You better be careful, both Iran and Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos, as far as I'm concerned, you're just like John Brennan. You're just like Dude Zuckerberg and all the rest of the IBM Eclipse thieves. You all need to go to jail. You are enemies of the state. And all I can say is good luck, because once he calls you out for antitrust, that could be the end of you. And that will actually make many of us happy, even though you won't be delivering pizzas to us and our food to us with drones at our house. But what we will be seeing is that Trump is standing up for the first time as a president and saying to crazy people who cuss him out, who say horrible things, who threaten his life, who put his head in a guillotine, who do crazy things, what's he saying to them? I'm going to fight you.